Trump's Georgia election fraud case delayed for months. Let me inform you that an appeals court in Georgia has delayed Donald Trump's election interference trial until it rules on whether Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis can remain on the case. Lawyers for the former U.S. president have repeatedly sought to have Ms. Willis removed from the case, arguing her romantic relationship with another prosecutor created a conflict. Last month, the judge overseeing the case said the court found no conflict of interest and allowed the case to proceed, pending Trump's appeal. But Wednesday's decision will prevent the case from proceeding until the appeal ruling on Willis. The Georgia Court of Appeals currently is scheduled to hear arguments on October 4th, making it highly unlikely that the case will be settled ahead of the presidential election in November. Trump and 18 others are being prosecuted in Georgia for conspiracy to overturn the state's 2020 election results, which they deny. The trial was nearly upended after one of the co-defendants claimed that Ms. Willis was improperly benefiting from a romantic relationship with lead prosecutor Nathan Wade. Over several tense days in court in February, Ms. Willis admitted she had had a relationship with Mr. Wade, but denied any benefits. Judge Scott McAfee ultimately found in March that Ms. Willis had a serious lapse in judgment and that the relationship damaged the case with the appearance of impropriety, but he ruled the case could continue with Ms. Willis as long as Mr. Wade resigned. Mr. Wade stepped down soon after. The appeals court has until mid-March, months after the next four-year presidential term begins in January, to issue its decision, leaving the case paused until then. The losing side has the option to appeal the case further to the state's Supreme Court. The Georgia election interference case is one of three criminal cases Trump faces, with both sides of the political aisle watching closely ahead of November's presidential election. Last month, Ms. Willis won a primary election, which means she will be the Democratic candidate in November, facing a Republican opponent. That opponent, who was an intern in the Trump White House, faces an uphill battle to victory in the Democratic stronghold of Fulton County, which includes Atlanta. On the other hand, police in New York are seeking to revoke former President Donald Trump's gun license following his recent criminal conviction, U.S. media reports. Unnamed officials within the New York City Police Department told CNN, the New York Times, and ABC News that it was currently completing an investigation that would likely lead to the former president being banned from owning a gun. Both state law in New York and wider federal law prohibits individuals with felony convictions from possessing a firearm. The NYPD has not publicly confirmed the move in the case of Mr. Trump. The BBC has approached it for comment. Mr. Trump became the first president in U.S. history to be criminally convicted last week. A Manhattan jury found him guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records to allegedly conceal a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels during his 2016 presidential campaign. The former president was accused of buying the silence of Ms. Daniels over an alleged sexual encounter between the two. Mr. Trump has consistently denied sexual contact with Ms. Daniels and of having broken the law. The 77-year-old has called the verdict a disgrace and indicated he intends to appeal against the conviction. Mr. Trump is due to be sentenced on July 11th, 4 days before he is officially declared the Republican Party's nominee for the presidential election this November. Police sources told the New York Times that the former president turned two guns over after he was charged in the criminal case in April last year, and his license was suspended. A third firearm was reportedly transferred to Florida, though it remains unclear whether it is still in his possession. Mr. Trump has been an ardent advocate of gun owners' rights. He has frequently spoken at events put on by the National Rifle Association, the largest gun lobby group in the U.S., and has received its endorsement in the election. At an NRA event in February, he described himself as the best friend gun owners have ever had in the White House.